Good morning, welcome to a morning review. This is Kim Watson speaking on Thursday the 19th of May. Looking at the euro dollar first, and as you can see yesterday, particularly with the later news, we saw more of a sell-off in the euro. Now sitting around the monthly midi between the S1, S2. May find a bit of support off here. This is also around the level of the previous days. Previous month's pivot, which ghost pivot sometimes just hold up for us. Okay, let's look at the from a 60 minute point of view and look at where we are here. At the moment, we're trying to get in a pivot swing. Perhaps if we get a break of this, we have an opportunity to get up towards the statistical target of the daily pivot. We have the 60-21s in the way, which have been tested before. But we'll see if we can push up towards those sort of levels. I'm just looking at the data from yesterday that caused the sell-off in the euro, or the bullishness in the US dollar. For me, was a bit of a weakness, and it basically just declared that the market that most members were supportive of a hike in June if it's warranted by the economy. Of course, we need to look at what the economy is, and it's not super in the US. So I think it's a bit of a backhanded one, that. Anyway, cable. Cable managed to rally leading into the news. Sold off fractionally, not massively, on the news, and it's really just done little else. Well, cable's rally was built up by the exit polls from the Mori exit poll, which suggested that the stay in Europe was the stays were quite high. I can't remember the specific figure, but it was pretty high relative to previous. So it's given the pound the boost at the moment. But all these polls at the moment are actually putting the pound where it may be if the UK was staying in Europe, in which case it's not really giving it the sort of kicker one would have expected, maybe, following the months and months of movement downwards. But of course, a lot can happen yet. So at the moment, let's just come down to the 60-minute time frame. Well, we've not got a daily pivot hit yet. There's a possibility if we do start seeing a sell-off, it will move towards that. It's already tested the 60-21s. Again, with the move that's showing here, it's monthly back into, it's weekly R2 area here. It could push on upwards towards the daily R1. I'd be looking at that weekly R3 though. It's may provide some resistance before that if it starts pushing up there, and we also of course got the double top to consider, so has the potential to push on up. Statistically, it's got a reasonable chance of coming back down and catching the daily pivot, but I think we need to really look at what the price action shows us after 8 o'clock. Dollar yen. Well, the yen's continued showing some weakness, which will be a pleasant surprise for the Bank of Japan, which has wanted and talked it up week and promised to do things but not done anything. And it is moving its way south, which to say will be much appreciated. Looking in a shorter time frame here on the hourlies, intermediate time frame again, we've got a pivot below us untouched. It has got on the hourlies, there's a bit of a divergence going on here at the moment, but I'm just looking between the previous lows there. It may, well, it's already reacting to that divergence at the moment, may come off a bit more. 60-20s may be more of an opportunity here than anything else. One thing what we can see on the yen now is it's starting to move in a cleaner fashion and may provide me with some trades again at some point. Certainly yesterday I was looking at this sort of level, which eventually went a bit early at 7 o'clock, but there was a little trend that's running down there. It's broken that nicely, pulled up, and it's moving in a more technically appreciative move for me. Anyway, Aussie dollar continued its sell-off. Again, it's put a pivot swing in on this one on the dailies, which is a bearish signal. Let's just widen the dailies out and see what's next. We're not too far away from the monthly S3, which could provide some resistance if we get down into that territory. There is a sort of double divergence going across these lows here on the RSI. So if we can find support off this midi here, and there's enough support here, perhaps we can get a little bit more of a bounce coming. As I say, there is between the lows here, there is double divergence on the dailies on the RSI there. And from a 4-hourly point of view, well, maybe we'll put in a decent reversal bar here, which I think about 15 minutes to go, and it looks quite healthy. To support that, well, if it does get any sort of rallies going up here, a break, there's a sort of, well, potentially a couple of trend lines going in there. Probably the easiest untouched trend lines would be somewhere here. Being really aggressive, I'd probably look at something like that, maybe. We'll see. Perhaps the less aggressive ones are safer. And we could see then price moving up towards the pivot. So really looking through these markets at the moment, well, it's so far, I mean, the euro has got the pivot above it, the Aussie's got the pivot above it, the pound really is the opposite way around. So well, let's have a look what the CAD's up to. The pound is by far the stronger of the dollar pairings at the moment. Look, okay, so Canadian dollar has continued its route south. Again, it put a pivot swing in yesterday, and it may push on. There's a big bar towards the yesterday, quite a daily bar, pushed up, looking relatively strong at the moment. Again, we've got the daily pivot below us in this particular case, so well, a bit of strengthening here is a possibility. It recovered well later on, and let's just put the oil price back on there. There we go. So oil slipped off here. It had a little bounce, whatever else. I say recovered in terms of the US news, helped push the Canadian dollar back up after some strength in oil. Oil peaked there. Let's just check the price of oil, where it actually got to. Yeah, it got up to nearly $49 a barrel there at one stage, but has sold off quite strongly since, back down to 47. Okay, if we see a bounce off oil, we could see, I mean, I think you could see the reverse correlation of what's going on here in the market. If oil starts bouncing, the Canadian dollar could be slipping back down and heading towards the 60-20s, and its daily pivot. It's probably a biggish ask at the moment, but we have seen these things happen. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. News-wise today, there is some, not a lot. Oops, wrong button. On the other side here, already had the Australian data come out, which was slightly positive, and on the news front, I'm just looking through. We've got retail sales in the UK today, a key figure at the moment. It'll be interesting to see how much that's slowed down, if at all. They're expecting it to be higher than like the previous. And then really it's 1:30. We've got the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, weekly unemployment claims. Nothing major there really in the afternoon at 1:30. At 12:30, in between this though, we've got the ECB monetary policy meeting accounts. These rarely do too much because Draghi's obviously summarised and given people the details of them, so they're pretty weak in terms of moving any markets. Okay, that's it for me. Hope you have a great one. Bye for now.